Bonjour, Julien. Ah, ça va et toi?
Welcome to Cross Paths, the brand new UTMB World Series podcast. Each month, two trail runners, one elite and one amateur, will meet and discuss what trail running means to them. In their conversation, they'll also reveal what drives them in life and how they express it on the hills. They will share their common passions, interests, beliefs, and get to know each other along the way. And so will we. In this fifth episode, Kilian Jornet, the 4 times winner of UTMB, a runner who needs no introduction, met Julien Loisy, a French banker who learned to balance his passion for running, biking, and his work. Together, they spoke about the beauty and dangers of the mountains, the responsibility of being admired, and of course, Stephen King's novels. We hope you'll enjoy this privileged moment where they crossed paths.
Hi, Julien. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah. Just before we entered here, you told me that now you are injured, so you are cycling a lot?
Yes, I'm just cycling because I do a soccer tournament and I injured my knees for the second time. So I have to abort my running campaign for this year.
Yeah. So I start. So Julien, you are 36. We are almost same age actually, yeah?
Yeah.
You live in Lausanne and you are in charge of fraud prevention in a bank in Geneva. That must be a tough job.
It is interesting job, yeah.
Yeah, interesting job, yeah. So you started the sport at a young age with football and then running at that time. You started first with 3K, 5K and then longer distances. Never really stops since then. At 30 years old, you took a big turn in your life. You quit smoking, you became vegan and you started triathlon. Being in the mountain, the call for the trail was not far, and that's also around the time that you started trail running. And you also really like podcasting and produce many of them on different topics such as literature or society. Did I miss something on that?
No, I think you make a good resume of what I am. So, Kilian, you definitively don't need introduction, I think, but I will try anyway. You are 35 and considered as one of the greatest long-distance trail runner and ski mountaineers of all time. You hold impressive records, such as the fastest ascent of the Mount Everest twice in a week without supplemental oxygen. You won most of the major ultra trail races, such as the UTMB 4 times, the Grand Raid at de la Réunion twice, the Hard Rock 5 times, and the Western State 1 time. You embody passion, engagement, performance, and a spirit of adventure in the global outdoor world. And you launch your own outdoor brand named Normal. Does it pronounce like that?
Yeah, we pronounce Normal, yeah.
In 2022, and the No Trace program this year. I think we will talk about that later. And you are highly engaged for the environment. You also created your own foundation. Your wife, Emily Forsberg from Sweden, also competes in ski mountaineering, trail running, and sky running events. And finally, you are the father of 2 girls born in March 2019 and April 2021.
Yeah, that's it.
That's complete?
Yeah, that's me, yeah.
So I start with a question. How do you find all the energy to do all of that?
Yeah, well, I think it's all about balance, like about being balanced with everything you do and to do things that really matter, the things that I really enjoy doing it. And then to know myself, I know that if I do too much of something, I will be like with anxiety or stress or that, and so I stop doing it or I do less. So I think being where we live, we live in Norway in a pretty quiet place, so it's nice because both Emily, my wife, and myself, we like being alone.
Yeah, quiet place.
So that's I think the secret probably to be able to do that much is to spend a lot of time just by ourselves and to find some calm before kind of the storms.
Okay, because before you were living in Chamonix.
I've been living in Chamonix for 10 years, and it was great. It's an amazing place. Well, you've been there, right?
Mm-hmm, I've been.
So it's beautiful mountains. It's a nice place to train and all that. But it's busy. It's very very busy. So we wanted something where we had mountains, but also some calm.
And I think it became one of the capital of the trail runners because a lot of people are now living there or around.
Yeah, well, a few runners it's Peter and Gal that won today here in the Eger Ultra. It's Jonathan Albon that he's also like a very, very good runner. It's a good like outdoor community, a lot of climbers, a lot of outdoor people, but still like it's, if you want to spend like 1 month without seeing anyone like training, it's very, very easy to do. Yeah. And you come from like you live in Lausanne, but your accent is not
I'm from the seaside. I was born in Normandy. I started to run on a flat road because in Normandy it's really flat. And I started to do trail running when I moved in Switzerland 7 years ago.
So you moved for the work and then you discovered the mountains?
Exactly. So to be honest, I discovered trail with you because in one of my previous job in Paris, I was working for a bank and I went to La Réunion and it was in October, so during La Diagonale des Fous.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. And we were on a restaurant and on the TV at the bottom of the room, they broadcast a documentary about you. And it was my first contact with trail running world. And when we moved with my wife in Switzerland, we start to run outside the road and start to go in the mountain at the beginning to hike. And then we start to run. And this is how I start to do this kind of new sport.
Yeah, I think it's many people that it's just like when moving to the mountains, it invites you to go running and that. But you had been running before, no? Yeah, like when you were a kid or...
Yeah, I do 3K running in a club when I was a teen. And I continue to do that because in Paris it's more convenient to do just road running. So I extend the distance, half marathon, and then I came to Switzerland. This is where I continue to extend a little bit until the trail distance. And yes, I always run. I think it's like 20 years I'm running.
Yeah, so all your life.
Yeah. It's a good sport, I like it. Yeah. At the beginning I was running after a ball because I was playing soccer, and then I got too many injuries on my legs because this sport is really hard for legs. I got knee injuries, ankle injuries, and so my father asked me to stop football and to start to do athleticism instead.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. What are you racing normally? Like, you like long distances or short distances?
I try to balance between road and trail. So in road, I'm doing marathon. I try to do 1 marathon each year. This year I did the Geneva one. In trail, I'm trying to do between 30 and 80 kilometers. It depends.
Oh, yeah, pretty long, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool because it's an experience to do. I will not learn that to you, but when you are running for a lot of hours, your mind is starting to meditate a little bit, and it's interesting. For a marathon, it's 3 hours, 4 hours, so you are only focused on your pace and your body, but for a trail, you have to focus on so many things that at one moment your mind is going elsewhere.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because like people that do road, it's like all about the time. So what's your PB in marathon?
It's a 3:13.
Wow, good time, yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that the difference between roads and trail is that probably in the road like you find more like the pacing and the time, and then like in trails is more like this.
And also the mood of the person who participates, because on a marathon everyone is focused on his performance. Like you said, you have a time to beat. In trail, a lot of people, like for me, we want to finish it. Because we don't know which time we will do. It's because sometimes we are struggling because the path is really small, and so we have to walk. And
conditions can be completely different. So it's
totally, and it's much harder. Today we are in Eger, and so you did 16K.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. Like I have been here 2 times before. Like first time it was 2006. I did a ski mountaineering race, and then 2015 I was climbing in Eger. So it's the 3rd time here. It's such a beautiful mountains. Like it's just so wonderful with like all these giant walls around. And Emily, my wife, she was doing the 51. So I was thinking, okay, like I come follow and I do the 16, mostly because I needed to get a stone to be able to register for UTMB, but also like I know the organizer here, like Werner Marti. We have been racing together in ski mountaineering. We did Trofeo Mezzalama. It's a ski mountaineering race together. It was an easy race for me today, but just like enjoying, and it was a very great ambience too.
Okay, and do you come with your kids?
Not this time, actually. That's the first time ever, like since they are born, that they are far away from us. Like they are. we have been either me or my wife together with them, and that's the first time ever. So we are more stressed probably than them.
Okay.
Yeah. And you were on racing today. You mentioned that you were injured.
Yes, I injured myself in a soccer game. I only do bike for now because I can keep my knee on the lane to do not...
to make it worse.
To make it worse, thanks.
Yeah.
I try to balance between running and biking now because I don't want to get a long-term injury for my hip or my knees or my legs. So I try to balance between running and biking. And I don't know if you are thinking about that because you are 35.
Yeah.
And you are running since you were born, more or less. and do you think about maybe you will, at one moment, you will say, okay, I will stop running at this level of competition, I mean, because you want to prevent your body to some injuries?
Yeah, I think more than injuries, I think it's more like the commitment to train hard. It's
to reach this level.
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment. I mean, like it's 24 hours every day, every day a week, all the year. Like it's training hard. You have pain like most of the time. It's some small injuries all the time, and you need to go with it. I would say it's physically you do it, but mentally to say okay, commit to that. I think that's the hardest probably. But I love it. I love to be out and I love to run, and so I don't know. Probably it will be a moment I would say okay, I don't want to. I think mostly about just to do races locally. I think I will always do until I can run and do projects in the mountain and things. And I think it's more about what the motivation every year that it's different.
It's a lot of sacrifice to.
No? Well, I personally I like it mostly. It's easy. I love going training and that it's mostly that it's impossible. We live in a society that it's if you want you can, and that's bullshit. It's a good marketing sentence, but it really come on, if you want to do things properly, you need to choose ways, and that means that you open doors and you close other doors. It's how it is, and I like it. Actually, I like to train every day. When I'm not training, it's something missing.
And do you train a lot with your wife? Because she's an athlete too, on the same sport. So do you share training session, I think maybe in Norway, because it's some quiet place?
Yeah, the last past years, with the kids, it's been mostly okay, you train until 12 and then we split the day. So we haven't been running much together the last years, but now that they go to kindergarten, we can do some trainings together, and it's nice. But it's fun. I like to run with people. As mentioned before, Peter, Jonathan Albon, they live there, so we do some training together. But it's also nice to go to train alone. And sometimes I like both. And what do you prefer? Training with group or alone?
It depends of the objective, to be honest. Because when it's a long session, I prefer to be alone, to put a podcast or music and going in the wild. But when I do fractionné,
interval sessions.
Interval sessions, thanks. So when I do interval session, I prefer to be in a group because for me it's harder to do interval session.
Same here. It's so annoying.
And it is quite annoying. When you have to do 10, 15, 20 times 30 seconds at the highest speed and then to rest. I think the time flies when you are in a group to do that. I have some memories of in January when not a lot of people are running, and so you go to the stadium and you do it alone on the stadium. It's really, really sad.
Yeah, and you do kind of a pretty structured training, it seems. So do you have a coach, or you are in a club, or with the experience from the athletics?
So when I was young, I was in a club, and now I go on a website and I purchase a training plan from a coach, because now with technologies you can buy this training plan. It goes directly in your Garmin watch. So it's really convenient when you don't have the knowledge to just purchase that and to follow that. And I'm touching wood, but so far it's working. For triathlon, I'm thinking about going to a club because I don't like swimming.
And it's very technical too, like you need to learn a lot of the techniques.
Exactly. I think I learned the techniques of running in a club when I was doing athleticism. But for swimming, yes, I'm swimming like a rock. So I need the teacher to improve my moves. And
so you're doing triathlon too. So
yes.
So football to get injured, then triathlon and then running.
Yeah, triathlon is cool. It's my best preparation. It's the preparation I preferred because it's not 6 times a week you have to run. You balance between swim, bike, and run. And so I never get injured when I was doing an Ironman or a triathlon preparation. And you, do you think about doing some other sports like bike, like, I don't know,
Well, I do bike a bit, like now mostly when I'm injured actually, but I did a lot of biking when I was like younger to train. Actually in the winter I don't run at all. I just ski from like maybe November until April. It's just skiing. So actually like I don't think about the sports. I think I like to go to the mountains and then if it's snow, I ski. If it's not snow, I run or climb. So for me, it's never been about like practicing a sport, but like about different ways to go to the mountains.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And where did you learn the techniques to go to the mountain? Because for me, I'm from the seaside. And so for me, the mountain is impressive and looks dangerous. So I will never go ski climbing or the things you do because I don't have the knowledge or the techniques to do that. Did you learn it from your parents? Did you learn it in a club?
Yeah, no. Since my parent was my father was a mountain guide. My mother, she was doing also a lot of mountaineering and expeditions and things like that. So I always joke that we didn't have a choice because, like, I think the first time I did a summit, like a 3,000 meter, it was when I was like 3 years old, and then like first time putting the crampons at 4 or 5 years old, and so it was like natural, like to do that, and then slowly learn the techniques, and then like with some mentors or friends, like to do some more like climbing and so on and so on. But it's now I think like also I see in trail running that it's been a big change. Like when I started trail running, it was I think like 2000 locally there, and people that were racing, it was more like mountain people, but climbers and alpinists that they were going fast. So it was not really anyone looking for security or like safety because like everyone had the knowledge. Yeah. And I think especially after 2010 that it really became more and more popular. Then it was like this big question of like, it's important to remind that it's not only about running, but it's also like about navigating in the mountains. So like to teach that, and I think that's probably one of the challenges of trail running. Most of the times when we go to a race, like it's everything fine because it's well organized and it's marked and it's security and.
But it's more and more crowded too.
Yeah. So then it's to learn the knowledge. So like. Yeah, how do you feel about that? Like, you came from Normandy, so like not a lot of mountain experience.
No.
And when coming to like here to Switzerland, and when you go training or racing, like, do you feel like it's something that it's like stopping you for the good? I mean, like to say, okay, I don't have the knowledge to continue, or like I feel that it can be dangerous from there. How is your feeling towards this kind of risk when going to the mountains?
First of all, yes, I will never choose a race where it's going too high because for the dangerosity, because I don't have the techniques also to run like you do on the rocks. It's something you have to learn when you want to do this kind of race. And I know that at one moment on altitude, your body starts to lacking oxygen. And I have memories about that. I was doing a trail in Zermatt.
Ultrax?
Ultrax, yes.
Okay, yeah, that's a very technical one.
Yeah, it is. I did 50K. And you go to the observatory at 3,100 meters. Just before you reach the observatory, you have 1.5 kilometers flat. And I was thinking, okay, maybe I will run on this flat portion of the race. And after 100 meters, my body said, no, it's too complicated for you. And my body is not used to this kind of altitude. Yes, for me, mountain is really like a field where it's wild. And it's not for everyone to be able to race on that. It required preparation. And I think on road running, you can it's not you can cheat, but if you run anywhere, you will be able to do your marathon or your half marathon. On trail, if you don't learn the techniques, if you don't learn how to climb, to prepare your legs to climb, because it's another effort that running on flat, it could be a long moment.
yeah, absolutely. No, and then like as you mentioned, like to know where your limits in terms of knowledge, like with like not in races, but like training, like if a storm comes, like how to do, or like if something happen,
it's
falling
true.
and this kind of
It's
thing.
like the sea, you cannot manage the nature. So if the mountain, like you say, a storm starting, or you have to stop it. You have to be aware that the mountain will always beat you. So you have to be humble, and yes, when the nature is saying to you with rain, with wind, with storm, that it's not possible to continue, yes, you have to stop it.
And you mentioned that you have been racing ultras here in Zermatt. And what other races have you been doing?
My longest race I did was a maxi race in Annecy,
Okay, yeah.
the 80K. My worst memories. It was in 2021, so the year before the COVID. So, they moved, normally it's in May, so they moved it in October. And the start was at midnight and half, instead of 3 or 4 in the night. I was going to work, I walked, and then I get my bibs at 6. I tried to sleep for 2-3 hours. I went for a run, and it was really, really hard. Because we start at night, so we see the sunrise, beautiful, and then we run for the full day, and then the night start to come again. And yes, I did it in 19 hours, and it was really, really long. It was rainy, and because I'm running a lot in Jura, and Jura is not as technical as Alps, and it's something I totally forgot, that it's not a hiking path. Flat. No, it's a lot of wood, of stones. It's technical.
Yeah.
And do you prefer wind or rain? Because it's two elements of the nature that can...
Yeah, I like bad weather for races. Okay. Like, I don't care much, but I prefer when it's bad weather than when it's good weather. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I think I'm used, like, and now living in Norway, it's like, this summer it's been very good, but last summer, from April to October, I think we had like 4 or 5 days with sun.
Whoa.
So we are used to run with rain and wind and all that. So yeah.
So it was cloudy instead, like you don't see the sun.
Yeah, no, it was raining. Like, raining. Yeah. So I like to race in bad weather conditions. Yeah.
Okay. And you don't are afraid of sleeping on a stone or...
No, I think, sometimes you sleep, but then you use this, like it's some 3 meters or 3 centimeters that you don't need to run. So it's, I think it comes with it. And I prefer like, if it's technical for everyone. So then it's,
It's interesting. It's like some Formula 1 driver, they prefer to race on a rain than on a sunny day.
Yeah, to train is easier with the sun, that's for sure. Like when it's raining the day after
day. For the motivation, because when it's in January and February, and I think in Norway, I don't know the temperature in January, but it's minus something.
Yeah. But then we go to ski, so that's pretty nice.
Oh,
But no, it can be the motivation when it's bad weather. It's always hard to get out.
And I have a question, because during one of your UTMB, you have been beaten by a bee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And how do you process that you prepare for a UTMB that is, I think, one of your main objectives of the year? And for something you cannot manage, a bee, you have to stop it.
Well, I think it comes to experience. Sometimes that when I was young and a race didn't go as I planned, especially when like problems that you cannot control, that in ski especially, like breaking gear or these kind of things, like I was so upset, like I was like so upset. It's like, come on, that cannot be possible. And you are just like, but then like you learn that it's good races, bad races, many things that you cannot control, and it's at the end of it's just another day. So it's of course we prepare.
It's wisdom.
Not wisdom, but I think it's just like experience on like knowing that I really like preparation. More than the races, I like to train. Okay. So if I have been enjoying the training and I have been seeing that I had progress, then the race is just like a fun part at the end to see if that worked or not. The main goal is to progress, and then the race is like a secondary thing.
Okay. And so to monitor this progress, are you a data lover? Are you recording a lot of data with your watch, with a belt, or I don't know which kind of gear are you using? Or...
Like I have been training all my life by sensations. That don't mean like just like, oh, I feel good, I go fast. No, that means like, okay, I want to train like feeling exactly that or in this zone, and then like it's the what's called RPA, that it's like the effort, like feeling that it dictates how fast I go. But I like to take that mostly to see very specific things. For example, if going to train in altitude or like going to expedition, then it's very interesting to check like the oxygen saturation, like in the blood or in the muscle, or like if I'm training, I don't know, something specific, then it can be interesting to look at the lactate or whatever it is. And mostly just like to record, like especially if you do changes on training on that.
Yeah, to see if it's
it have an effect, and to try to understand the physiology behind. So it don't dictates my training, but I like to use it for every now and then for that.
Because 20 years ago, this kind of data was not so easily accessible. I remember when I was training at a club, we have only a coach with a whistle and a chronometers.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all, yeah.
No, and then like I think it's great to have so many data if you know how to use it first, and then like that it needs to be consistent. Like if you are just like looking like at, I don't know, the VO2 max or like the lactate one time every month, like that's noise. It's not like data. It's just noise around that it don't tell you anything. So I think if it's better to stay to something that it can be whatever it is, if it's a heart rate or like lactate or like, but to be consistent, it's give you some information that is interesting.
Are you using Strava?
I have I publish some activities. I keep a lot of private too. Also I think because it's like on a way like I love like Strava and following other people and that. But then like it's also like you need to train and not race the training. And I think Strava is like kind of like it always pushes you to raise the training. I know that I get fired very easily, I would say. Like if we're running with another friend and like one is putting the feet before, like we will finish like sprinting. So like it's like, okay, I want to do my training easy, so
it's true. It pushes you maybe sometimes too far.
Yeah. And then like another thing that it's I do a lot of training in very technical terrain. I need to do that, especially for like some mountain projects. I feel like it's a lot of people that will just like not put it into the context and just like try to go there and kill themselves probably. So we like to try to also like avoid a bit that.
Yes, it's true that the weather data is also important in your sport. Because when you are going to the mountain, you have to check if
weather and like conditions.
Exactly.
It's a lot of different things. So you are mentioning your worst memory from a race. It was like in Maxi race.
Yes.
Well, what's the best one?
It's interesting. Zermatt was good. When you finish and you are racing in the small village, because it's a small village, Zermatt, with a lot of crowd applause. That was a good memory. And also I did the Eco Trail in Paris this year. When you finish by climbing the first floor of the Eiffel Tower, that's also cool because you have a lot of tourists around the Eiffel Tower. They don't know that you are racing, but they saw people racing, so they are encouraging you to finish it. That was good memories. Each time you finish a race at more or less the time you are targeting, it's cool.
And what are your do you have a bucket list of races you want to do?
I don't know. I like to push a little further each year until my body will say stop because you cannot do more. Even if it's really, really technical, I think La Diagonale des Fous, it's something that is interesting because the landscape of what you see during the race, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's so varied. Like it have volcanoes and jungle and like a mountain and like the coast and then the ambience is just like it's
all
crazy.
The island is dedicated to this event. That's great. I saw that. And the other one is something I will do this year, but it's a bike event. It's a Paris-Brest-Paris.
You know that's a long one.
Yeah, it's 1,200 kilometers to do in 3 days and a half. That's cool because it's one of the oldest race in France. And you did everything you wanted, or you still have some race you want to do?
Not really racing. Like I love to go back to races because like for one reason or the other, like to do races locally because it's fun and it's just like I like to race. And then some races because the organization or because it's fun or because it's a good competition and it's fun to see how you are. But I'm happy with what I have done, and now it's more like I want to have fun and do some things, and probably like where I get more excited is like on some kind of mountain projects or things like that.
Okay.
But racing, it's kind of always fun.
And do you plan, because like you did for this weekend, do you plan to do some competition with your wife and your family? Like maybe because it should be easier for the organization that, okay, next year we will target this event, you and I, like that.
Yeah, until now it's been kind of the opposite. Like it was like, okay, you go to the race. Like for example, now it was like, I was in Himalaya and then like, I come back and I was staying with the girls, and then Emily was going to the World Championship, and then like every weekend, like if we do races locally, it's like, okay, this weekend you race and the next weekend you race. And also like our families, they live far away. Emily's family is the closest one and they are 10 hours from us, so it's not that the kids are like, we can leave them like for the weekend with the family. So it's like, yeah, we are used to like one race each kind of, but yeah, I think when they grow up, it will be easier to do races together.
And does your girl start to want to run with you or your wife?
No, like I don't think they understand they know they understand that our job is running and climbing and that, but it's kind of normal. So they do some, like we do one session every Sunday in the track. So then they come with us and they are like playing in the track while we are doing loops. So they like to ski and to go to mountains and hike and that. So it's very fun to spend time like skiing or hiking with them.
I have a question for you for a race that is not a trail race, but it's I think one of the most famous and the most difficult race of the world is the Barclay.
Yeah.
You know the Barclay?
I know. Yeah.
Is it something that could interest you at one time? Because not so many trail runners are doing this race.
Yeah, like I know like a few of the runners like Jornet that he's been like finishing many times, and it's so interesting. Like it's like, come on, like it's not possible that it's that they take so long time. And I know the runners, they are strong. Like it's not that it's so it's like it's something very intriguing there. Like
it looks like, huh?
Yeah. So it's like always like it's like it looks not nice at all. Like it's just like the place is not very inspiring. Like it's not like, wow, what a beautiful mountain.
No, it's
like
just
in the middle of the forest in a kind of a city place, but it's like it's something very intriguing there. So yeah, I learned some time ago to never say no. So yeah, it's probably that. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you fancied the race or?
No, I will never. I don't have the level to do that. But I saw some documentaries on that, and it's fascinating. I think it's one of the races I saw. The runners, they push their limits so far, because it's a mix between orientation race, trail race, because you have to climb a lot. And it's really difficult.
Yeah, no, and it's so fun. Like when you are running for more than 2-3 nights, you get into like a mental state that it's very interesting.
Did you have ever hallucination when you were running due to the lack of sleep?
I have had hallucinations, but I have always been like knowing that it was kind of an hallucination. Okay. So it was not really running in trail running races, but climbing in some expeditions like that. So some people, I knew that it was not people. Okay. But I felt like I needed to take this guy down like the mountain because he was like feeling bad, and I was very aware that was just my mind making it. But I still like thinking, come on, guy, like you can. Why you are going so slow? Come on, come here, and you need to climb there, and at the same time I was aware that was like just my mind making it. Okay. So yeah, things like that. It's fun. Yeah.
It's fun now. Yeah. I think at the moment it should be a little weird. Yeah.
True that when it's, but yeah, somehow like if you practice these sports, it's also because you like kind of these weird experiences in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can train your muscles, like to be strong, to run as fast as you want. But what we call the invisible work, like the sleep and the nutrition, I think it's something really hard to manage when you are not at the professional level, but amateur level like I am. Especially for this race where you have to run for 2-3 days, and managing the sleep, like Do I have to do just small sleep of 5-10 minutes each hours and continue? Do I have to sleep for 1 hour or 2 and then continue? And it's something that, to be honest, I don't want to try on training.
Yeah, no.
To put you in this condition which kind of sleep would be the most efficient for me? It's not something I want to do.
Yeah, no, it's hard, like, and especially that it's not that you I think that's the big difference also with like the long distance, that you cannot really train it. You can run like, if you run like 5,000 meters, you can train, you can do a replication of the 5,000 meter or even a marathon.
At
you can do a long,
level,
you can do a long run like 42K, like not at the same speed, but like a bit like on a tempo pace.
In a tough training program for marathon, you have to run 35, 39 kilometers, so it's close to...
But in an ultra is that you will not say, okay, every Sunday we do like a 20 or like a 40-hour run. Like that's not realistic. So it's really like on the races where it plays, and it's all these unknowns that they will happen. No? And the sleep, it's that, like it's hard to know what's best. Like it was one time that I was doing a long run from home. I think it was like 56 hours, and there it was some very technical parts. And before these technical parts, like I wanted to be like mentally very like clear. What was working very well, it was just like before entering the climbing part, to take a 10-15 minutes nap. And then I had like, when I was waking up, I was for 2-3 hours very awake.
Okay.
So I could do this technical part very like pretty well. And then like the energy, like the levels was like going down again. And I heard that also like it's very good to take like a caffeine or a coffee just before like doing this 10-15 minutes nap, and then you wake up.
It is your secret food, the coffee to...
I never drink coffee. I only drink coffee like when
it is an emergency.
Yeah, when it's an emergency. So yeah, no, it's that's not. But yeah, it works for these kind of things. Then yeah.
Okay, totally another question. But at the food station, what do you pick?
Yeah, so if a race is short, it will be like just gels. In a ultra, then it will change, and especially for example in high altitude, it's harder to eat gels. I don't know why, but it feels harder to enter them. So for example in hard rock or these races in high altitude, I would maybe start with gels and do maybe 8 hours with gels, and then like change to solid.
And maybe at one moment your stomach is saying
stop on that, the flavor on that.
Yeah.
So then like I would change to bars or like a potato, like
sweet potatoes,
cold potato or sweet potato, some like rice balls, things like that, and then switch to, for example, before a strong climb, I would take a gel, but keep like the base on.
And do you have something that if you see it on the food station, it will like boost your motivation? Like for me, if I see some cheese, I'm like, okay, cool, it's cool. That food station will bring me some motivation to continue for.
Yeah, cheese, it's hard to digest. Like,
I know.
It brings the motivation, but
the balance between it will rise my motivation even if I will suffer for 1 hour after.
Yeah. I mostly like I think in the long races I just think try to finish as fast as possible so you can go to get like a pizza then or whatever. Like
so it's a pizza after the race.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So what do you like? For example, in the long races, what did you eat? Like it's mostly like try to have real food or like gels and.
So the gels, I cannot handle it so much, so many. I try to do a balance between gels, cereal bars, and also some fruit like bananas. So I bring that with me, and when I go to the food station, I take what I have. A lot of the time it depends. In Switzerland, they put cheese, they put crackers, they put soup and rivella and stuff like that. And in France, it's more fruits like abricot, banana. In the end, I take what is available. I'm really cautious about not eating only sweet stuff, but also some salty stuff, because I know that if I'm not eating salty stuff at one moment, or it's electrolyte, the name I think, it's my race will become harder. But I don't like to drink Powerade or stuff like that during a race, only water. But that I'm training it during my training.
To drink.
Yes, to see what I can handle or not during my race, because I know I tried to do like 5 hours training with only gels, and at one moment it was really I don't know the word. But,
it was coming out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You need to find where's your limit on that too. Yeah.
Yeah, But on the opposite, on a road running, like a marathon, I take only gels because it's so short that my stomach can handle it. And the boost is really good.
Yeah, and now you live here in Switzerland, so have you started skiing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I start, but alpine ski.
Yeah.
I have to train for doing the other type of ski, but I like to go to the mountain, to be honest, because January, February, March, for the winter period, normally for runners, it's like the rest period, where you do not train, and I just take some rest before starting in April and May the competition. But yes, Switzerland is a really good place to run any type of run you want to do, and for the sports too, because we have a lot of lake, so we can do swimming, we can do, I'm doing paddle now.
Yeah, it's good in Lausanne, you have some water in front of you.
Yes, the Geneva Lake is quite huge. And did you do like an official marathon once?
Until 3 years ago, I had never run on the flat at all, just if I was training and it was a flat part, I was trying to avoid it. So I was kind of the flattest thing I had run. It was kind of when I ran Western States or some parts of UTMB. It's that's the flattest things I had run. And 3 years ago, I did I wanted to do 24 hours in the track.
I remember on track.
And then I did also a 10K. But it was I was injured all the time because I started to train, and then it was just okay, I can handle to do this session and this session and this session, and of course the cardio system and the metabolic it's working well, so you can handle first flat running week I did. It was probably 210 kilometers with I think I was doing one day maybe 20 times 400 meters, and then in the afternoon maybe 10 times 1K, and another day that same way 3 times 5K, and so it was a lot of intensity and a lot of distance, but because I could handle it physically, but my muscles and my biomechanics weren't ready, so I could train like that, and 3 weeks after, bam, some injury. Then rest, bike, climb, and then back again, and did the same mistake, and so it was injured all the time. Yeah, it's very difficult.
In a cycle where you have a lot of injuries, should be
And have you had some injuries on running or?
On trail running, not I will not call that an injuries, but at the beginning I was not running with sticks. And the day after the race, my legs was really, really hurting me because I did not have the techniques, and without the stick, my body was not in a good position when I was going down. So I learned to avoid that with sticks and a better technique.
Yeah, and I said in the beginning when I presented you that you are vegetarian. Have you been a vegetarian for a long time?
For 8 years now.
Okay, yeah.
At the beginning, because I was not well digesting the meat. And then from the ethical point of view, I think it was good also to avoid that. And for the ecological aspect too. And but to be honest, I don't know if it improved or not my performance because I quit smoking at the same time.
Yeah, so yeah, probably.
So I think quitting smoking was more effective than quitting meat. But no, it was. I think it was a good decision. Even if last week I was doing Étape du Tour.
Yeah,
in
nice.
Bike, and when I arrived at the end of the race, you have a pasta party. And nothing was vegetarian. And still in 2023, you have a lot of competition where you don't have even vegan. I'm just saying vegetarian. Sometimes it's hard to find something to eat.
Yeah, some countries it's hard to find food. Yeah. Here it's probably Switzerland is a lot of meat.
Meat, yeah, or at least we have hot cheese.
Yeah,
a lot of hot cheese. So with that, I can handle it, even if it's not the best food for recovery.
Yeah.
And you, do you think? One day to become vegetarian or?
Yeah, well, I have been vegetarian for I don't know, 15 or maybe not 15, but 12 years or so. So, but since kid, I didn't eat much meat. My mother is vegetarian. So home we maybe
So you were used to vegetarian?
So we were eating 2 times a week, some chicken or that when.
Okay.
Growing up, so not a lot, and then I never developed the taste for meat. And for me, it was more a question of easy that I didn't like meat. But then it's also the environmental thing, like the diet. It's something that we do every day, and it has kind of a big impact.
So yes, when you become vegetarian or vegan, also the ecological aspect are coming into this reflection. You are starting your own brand, your own foundation, and I think that ecology is something that is important now in your not preparation, but in your life.
Yeah, well, like I think it's something that we can't escape. Like I think it's like it's affecting us. If you like trail running, probably like you like being in the mountains and this connection with nature. So it's like it's easy to see the changes that happen. Like we are here now, and the glaciers are like melting so quick, or like we see with all the weather that it's just like getting more extreme.
In Chamonix, you can see it at the Mer des Glaces.
Yeah, Mer des Glaces in Chamonix, and the pollution also like in Chamonix is like a huge problem with the air pollution. So all these things, and it's like, okay, what I can do, and in a way I was feeling like those values were like from my family already there, but then like my life as an athlete, it was like kind of the worst because like it involves a lot of traveling. It's like also like promoting a lot of overconsumption. It's how it works. Like the system is getting a sponsor. It means that you are like promoting like things, and some things that maybe you don't need, or like some things that maybe you don't need to change all the time. And so it was like kind of, I felt like not with the right of speaking out, because like I wasn't doing well, and
But you can
then it changed on that. Like I think it was saying like, okay, like it's important to speak it out, and even like not being perfect, you need to like it's something that you want to change, and start to change also like with our lifestyle, like racing less or traveling less, and then like I just trying to do things, and also like in a moment with the sponsors on that, I earned more money than the one I needed. So it was like, okay, what can be good to put this money like on something that it's better than like to have in a bank account. Like, well, you work in a bank, but to have it there just so when I die, I have more money. It's stupid. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it's good to put it in environmental projects. So it started like that, and I think it's at least like it's important to feel that you are walking your dog too in a way. So
to be aware of that issue is the first step to manage it. Because I think like when you start to do trail running, and now you see that, I don't know by how many times we multiply the person who attend this race in the mountain, but did you see like an impact also in the trail race? Like because normally people are kind of respectful.
Yeah, in general, like
they don't put trash on.
It's always some stupid, but normally people are like really good on like taking their
own garbage with them
to
the trash.
But the impact is also like on how many people like, and it's very different. Like you would say, like depending the season of the year, like if it's like spring, for example, mostly here in Europe in the Alps, like in spring, like it's a lot of species that they are like having babies, or like or in the winter that they are more vulnerable because they are eating less. And at those times, like to put a lot of people in the trails, that would be like very damaging. Some periods they are like they have a less impact, and then like also like depending the kind of terrain, like it can handle more or less people. So I think that's something that we need to do, like when we organize races, to know, okay, how many people can this area handle.
And more races are putting numerous clauses to the start to avoid this.
To avoid that, and I think that's a very important point for the environment. And then it's. I
have to say, this is why I never do one UTMB race, because I always lost at the drawing.
So you have been trying many times?
Twice.
Twice, yeah.
And the shortest one is the CCC.
OCC, yeah.
OCC, the 60K. And I never been picked. But it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
But to limit the number of people who can do this race.
Yeah, for me, hard rock, it was the third. I was trying 3 times before getting in the race. But it's important to be more aware about that. Like I think that it's not only about racing and performing, but that we are on a place that it don't belongs to us, that we are part of it, but it don't belongs to us. So I think that's important to understand. Like it's
and the new generation more aware about that. We are not old, but
we were not raised with the knowledge, I think.
Exactly. It was the knowledge. We did not know as much as people now. Because I read that one English junior champion, she did not want to go to Australia for the World Championship. And I think it's the first time I read something like that.
Yeah, it was also like Andy Simons that he was selected to go to the World Championship after running in Thailand. And he said like, no, it's too long travel for like going racing and that. So I think it's good. I think trail running, it has a good movement on that. And it has the reflections. Like this year we started also like a trail running association with for pro athletes.
You are more than 200 people.
Yeah, like and what I'm really proud of it is that it's not about getting like more benefits. Like of course, like it's a part of the mission to have like more facilities or like more respect on that. But most of the discussions are about like how can we make the running more sustainable, or that and like talking with circuits or like that to say, okay, how can we limit the number of traveling to be able to complete a circuit, or how we can have this with the ecosystem's impact. And so all these discussions were before the athletics or career part or all the social issues. So it's good that I think it's that most of the trail runnings, even the not especially, but also the professional ones, like they put those subjects before. Like
no, it's very nice that you use your popularity to make things progress on this side, definitely. So you start normal, your brand. What is the biggest challenge you have in this new role?
Well, it was a big change, like because like I had been with Salomon since the beginning. Like it was when I was like 16 years old. Like had been with them, and so it's a lot of personal relationships there. So it was kind of easy to continue. Mm-hmm. But on another way, like I also like meet that people like in camper, and like it was like okay, we can like I had always dreamed about like designing gear, and like that's something I love it. But it was mostly okay, like how we can approach like also this change on like it's hard. Like you work in finance, so it's a lot of contradictions when you think about environment and consumption and overconsumption and finance and all that. So,
but you can think about something more sustainable.
So it was that like to say okay, like taking the problem on a way, and we thought about like durability and that. So it was this strong will from me and from camper to say okay, let's start something together. And the challenge is like it's always challenging. It's so challenging, like everything. Like I'm learning so much. Like I love designing products. I like the marketing part. That's something I knew. But
are you following like some business courses?
No, like I think I'm smart enough to know what I don't know.
Okay.
So like it's good to have people that know really well like the business part, really know well the like supply chain. So like I trust them. Like it's so it's important to know that.
Alone.
Yeah.
So you learn about supply chain. You design some gear, some.
Yeah. So we design like mostly like shoes and apparel, but then it's like also like that, like to think business model that is not based on overconsumption, but and I think that's where we need to go in the future if we want to.
Does it take so many of your time?
Yeah, well, like I would work like every day a couple of hours on that. So like it's normally like 3-4 hours every day that I work on that, and it's good. Like when the girls are sleeping, then it's like time to work, and but with that, So when you are not like working or like training, like swimming or running or biking, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do?
I like to do podcasts.
Okay,
yeah.
So do a bit of promotion here. Like what are the podcasts? Yeah.
I do podcast on a writer called Stephen King. I think you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So each month we read a book of him, and then we are 6 and we discuss of it.
Okay. Nice.
And yes, that's interesting because I always like to speak in a microphone. I'm not a video guy. I prefer to speak. And yes, I'm doing a lot of podcasts. And for a while, I had an association to help people to start their own podcast. So when I was in France.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was nice. Yeah?
So you are working on all the technical part and on that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because I think it's like in running, you don't have to purchase the most expensive stuff to start. You can start with middle range stuff and you will do really good things. And at the moment you have the motivation to do it, it's working. And you? So do you have another passion than...
Well, like I'm kind of geeky,
Okay.
on a lot of like history of the sport and like also like more of the science. Like I
Okay.
like to read science. Like I go one time a week, like to something interesting there, different sciences. But then it's I like normally, like as I mentioned before, like we like kind of silence and tranquility. So it's not that our social life is not big. Like I would say, like it's just like we live in a small place. Like it's our house, then 500 meters another house. Then it's maybe in this area where
yes,
we live is like
very quiet.
maybe 10 families, and then like 7 kilometers from there is, or like 10 kilometers from there is this city with 2,000.
Okay. Yes, you are already in a wide.
So yeah, but then yeah, like reading, like lecture, and
Okay.
this is yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Now I think we start to know a bit each other. So I will say 3 sentences about me.
Okay.
And actually, one is true, and the 2 other are false.
Okay.
So you should guess which one is it. So the first one is that I didn't drink any alcohol until I was 18 years old. The second is that the name of Normal, of my brand, is a combination of the names of 2 mountains in the Pyrenees. That's Norforca and Maladeta. And the third one is that I live in the city of Åndalsnes in Norway. For the last 4 years, I have been working with the sports organization club, like with the
Okay.
local races and the kids.
Okay. I think the true one is the last one, I will say.
No!
Okay, so the first one, you did not
Yeah.
drink until 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was.
Okay. I will play the same game with you. My first option is we were recording in a remote session an episode of the podcast Leroy Steven. I did not give the name of this podcast on Stephen King. And one of my co-hosts, who is usually quiet, talkative, he really talk a lot. This time he was not talking, quite silent. And it took us a few minutes to realize that he was holding his newborn baby in his hand. So this is why he was not really talkative at this session. So my second option is, as a big fan of both running and Stephen King, I co-created my own race near Geneva called the Baking, an alternative and shorter version of the Barclay where runners have to read page of Stephen King's books as checkpoint, like in Barclays.
That would be fun.
It would be fun. And the last option is one of my other passion is the English band Muse. You know Muse?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Best rock band in the world. And so on every major race, I have a start and finishing playlist from this band with my favorite songs of them.
Yeah. I think the Barclay version, it's looking good, but no, I think the baby one.
It's true.
I was opting with the moose because that's also like a very common thing. Yeah. So do you like moose?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw them 18 times.
Okay. Yeah. So you are a big fan. Yeah.
I am a big fan of them, yeah. It's true, I did not ask you if you have a favorite band that you like to listen when you are running or training.
I can like pretty varied, but like for running, like punk, ska.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time together, and now UTMB has asked its community to ask you some questions because they want to know a little bit about you. So I will be the spokesperson and I will ask their questions. So the first one is from Rebecca. Her question is, what change did you witness in trail running during the last decade, both in positive and negative ways?
Well, like how many hours we have for that?
Just
No, yeah. No, I think like to find something like that it's kind of quick. I think positively it's that it's been growing in a very natural way and it's developing, taking into account all the all the variety of trail running that it's most of the races are like developing on differently on different ambiances, and that the trail running is keeping this variety, so everyone can find its ambience, its place, and
It's true.
and that I think that's something that most of sports, when they develop, they trend of like kind of
You have a big variety
unique,
of different races.
and it's a big variety, and I think that's great. And in negative, I think it's I think it's more like probably one thing is this approach to the nature, to the mountain, that it's not only about running fast, but it's also like about respecting the place where we are running, and we said before that it's still like most of people, but we see that it's sometimes it's not the case, like where competition it's first than the respect of the nature. And then like about changing to more it's people like coming from like you or other backgrounds that is not on the mountains, and you're pretty smart, so you don't get yourself on trouble. But it's many people that they think I'm strong, I can do like a big race like UTMB, so I can like climb this summit running, and then it's so to understand that it's not only about the physical capacities but about the technical capacities. That's 2 points where I think we're struggling to educate.
Yeah. Okay. So the second question is from Suki. How do you want to be remembered after your career?
I don't care. Like I want to have fun. That's all. Yeah.
That's a good answer. And the last question is from Oliver. How many athletes do you think will be running sub 20 hours in the UTMB 23? Maybe we have to remember that you break this record last year.
Yeah, we were running under 20 hours. Yeah. No, I think like if it's good conditions, because conditions they can affect a lot. But let's say it's good conditions like last year, like I think easily like it could be like I think it's easily like 10 runners that they can run under 20 hours, and then probably 1 or 2 get like it's always some problems. But I think like at least 10 athletes are capable of it. Yeah.
So now it's on the tape, so we'll check if you were right. What can I wish you in the future now?
Just to keep enjoying. I think that's just to be healthy. I think health is the most important to keep dreaming. Like I have some friends that he's 92 years old, and every time you talk with him about mountains, he's so excited. Like he's like, oh, this weekend I will go to do that, and you see his eyes like shining, and that's amazing. And I think
he's 92, you say?
Yeah, and so I think it's to keep the passion, to keep this emotion of like, even if it's not like things that they are easier than what we did before, but it's just like to keep passionate about like doing things outside. Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, and you like what are
yes,
what are you
I think
for?
the health also, because until you can practice the sport you want, it's so good. In terms of race, yes, just to finish my Paris-Brest-Paris will be cool.
Yeah, that's a long one. Yeah,
that's a long one. Yeah.
When is that?
It's 21st of August.
Okay, so we'll follow that.
Yeah, I hope with the weather, the condition will be good, because else in summer, last week when I was doing Étape du Tour, it was 46 degrees. Not the best
That's
condition to ride. Do you have a race in mind for this summer?
Yeah, so normally now I will be racing Sierzinal. It's here in Switzerland in middle of August. And then like today I was running here in Ayer to get a stone, so like I could race also like UTMB in the end of August or beginning of September.
I think it's September 1st.
Yeah, so on September 1st, yeah.
Nice. So I wish you the best for that.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was very nice to meet you, and I wish you best luck for the next adventures. And
thank you, Kilian. And it was really a nice moment to share with you. Huh? It's really easy to speak with you about running and trail and sharing.
Well, we're doing the same. Huh? We just put one feet after the other, and
it's true.
A bit faster and slower, but it's the same. Yeah.
And I wish you the best for UTMB and Sierzinal. I will watch that on Swiss television.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it for today. We hope you enjoyed this moment and found some inspiration to get out on the trail paths. If you did, please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcast or Spotify and share it with a friend, a colleague, or someone you just crossed paths with. If you don't want to miss the next episode, subscribe to the podcast and follow at UTMB World Series on social media. We will be back next month for a new extraordinary meetup. Stay tuned.
Ouais, il fait chaud.